So there are a few external things that need to be finished before we can complete the fuselage, and what they are the forward-looking infrared, which is on the port side of the front windscreen there. We've got the front landing gear, and we've got the side sponson landing gear, and we've got the in-flight refueling probe. Now these are all the Academy plastic bits. I'm not going to use the Academy plastic for the in-flight refueling probe because I've got this lovely res kit one piece. Well, it's actually got an extra part there, whereas 3D printed part, whereas these are halves that I have to glue together and then fix that seam, and then you've got to add quite a few wires and things to it, whereas this is all nicely molded in. I'll have a look at this shortly. I'm not going to use the Academy wheels because I've got the res kit wheels. And they're in two pieces, so you've got the hubs, and they're specially marked hubs. They've got them in the correct format, and we've got some unweighted wheels, which is good because even though this is wheels down, it is going to be in flight. They almost never put the wheels up when they're flying the Super Shitter. I will be using the Academy landing gear, but they need to be somewhat detailed. I might fix up some of the, like the oleos are okay, but these, what are they called? The scissor bits there, might replace it, might put some thinner parts. We need some brake lines added. The front landing gear, might zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. The front landing gear, it's a bit thick. This is the forward door. It's a bit thick. The ledge is okay. We'll have a look. I'll show you the reference photos soon. The gear itself is not too bad. Again, just needs more detail, more brake lines added, and same with the strut. And I might even have to add detail to that front wheel well. Ooh. Lastly, we've got the forward-looking infrared thing, which really is not that difficult. It's just those four Academy parts. What I'm going to do, however, I'll just see if I've got it here. The wonderful reference book. Okay, there it is there. I'm going to do it displayed closed. I need to add these wires, of course, and these connectors, which is actually a fairly easy job to do because they're nice and thick. So in 1/48 scale, I can actually do that scale properly. But you'll see here, it does have there's the sensor there. But when it's not at night, obviously, they stow it away. So I don't need to scratch build a sensor or anything like that. I'm going to assume that when they're doing what they're doing on this thing that they're doing, it's going to be folded up. So basically, I just need to make that seamless, those two parts. And actually what will go in my favor is I need to make additional where they've got this grating going all the way around. If you see at the top of that rim there, there's grating all the way around. It's not like that on the real thing. There's actually gaps. So where the seam is, I won't have to worry too much about replicating that going all the way around. That's the gaps where I can put some of those wires. So let me just clean all these up, and I might start with the FLIR, the forward-looking thread first. And then I'm looking forward to doing the refueling probe because I'm going to do the little trick that John Bryan did on his, and that's after you cut off the mount there, is actually put a little magnet inside so you can snip this, because this is sticking out, it sticks out a good, that's 4 inches, isn't it, lads? Yeah, that's 4 inches. This sticks out a fair way from the model, so it's going to get snapped off whenever you're moving it or whenever somebody's around it. So if it's got a magnet attaching instead of gluing, all the better. So let's get stuck into it. So let's just clean off some of these sprue nubs here, and then I can get these parts glued together because I want to fill the seam. Oh, and Penny, she's behind me. She's not happy. Yes, we're going to go pick up the kids soon. Don't worry, girl. I won't say the D word. She responds to the D word, D-R-I-V-E. She knows she'll go nuts when I say that because I always take her in the car to go get the kids from school. So this is a real easy cleanup. It's a real easy job. I'll just glue these major parts together, clean them all up. I forgot to get my knife, so let me just do this off camera and we'll come back and hopefully this is all put together, and then I'll show you how I'm going to put the wires on. So I've glued together the sensor itself. I just need to let that heal, I guess what it is, and then I'll go over it with a sanding stick and fill that seam. Might need a bit of putty, but I was about to glue the mount together, the arm and the bracket here, and then I noticed when I was looking at the reference photos, because that just simply goes like that. Let's zoom in a little more so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, well, first of all, there looks like there's an ejection pin mark here on, which is quite big there. Okay, hope you can see that in the light. which isn't supposed to be there, and then there's supposed to be a big prominent rivet there, so I need to fill that, put a rivet there. However, you turn it around, and on this side, this is not solid. Okay, there is a sprue point there, so what I need to do is, I'll show you the reference photo quite clearly. Here we go. Okay, see that hole there in the arm, and see the rivet. Okay, and there's actually, just found another couple more bolts down the bottom there. I might be able to put those in with some rivets, but anyway, let's get a little drill. So this is easy sort of mods to do. I'm doing this without my normal loupe. I've only got my normal glasses on. My eyesight's not the best. It used to be a lot better, but ever since I got old, it's gone. I actually do that on camera. Okay, so the way to do this, if you've never drilled holes in plastic before, start with a pilot hole. So that's one of these cheap, really cheap and nasty Chinese knockoff things. Then get a big one. I don't know what size that is. Looks about right, and we'll just use that to drill a hole, nice and square. Does that look about right? That looks about right. And then the other thing I noticed on the arm. I just poked myself. Ow. Oh yes, first world problems. That looks good enough. Yep. And just to clean that up, I'll just use a little bit of Tamiya extra thin just inside where I've gone, just to that edge. So there we go, we've got a proper hole. Let that go off. Okay, to support those wires coming down the shaft, there's two that loop around. There's actually a small tiny little bracket on that first little ring there. So I'm just going to use a little piece of 0.2 styrene, and we'll just make that square and just glue that on before I start doing any sort of damage. Okay, what sort of size we're looking at here? Probably about there. Don't like that. Try again. Oop, that went off the table. See, this is why I don't film a lot of stuff, ladies and gentlemen, because, yes. Alright, does that look alright? Yep, that's pretty good. Alright, I'll just glue this on, or I'll try to, on camera. So we'll put him there. That's about the right size. Put him on that side. Okay. Oh, isn't this fun? I don't know how you guys do it. The guys who do full build videos, I don't know how they do it. They must spend an inordinate amount of time filming, because editing I should say, because I just get performance anxiety trying to do this live. I reckon that piece is too thick. That looks way too thick. Hold your horses, ladies and gentlemen. I might get a smaller piece of plastic. Landing gear. Something I'm not very familiar with, as I do almost everything wheels up. I usually chuck these parts into the bin, but the CH-53 is usually flown wheels down, so I've got to put wheels on. I'll go over the wheels in a minute, but what I've done, we're actually back to front there, so that's the front nose landing gear door. I've just added a few parts in there. I actually lost the strut, this gas strut here, so I replaced it with another part that was actually for the windows. And I've added a few rivets and bolts. There's a few things missing on the Academy kit parts. Also added a piano hinge there at the top. Hopefully you can see that. I think I made it a little bit too small, but it'll do. So that's done. And then the front landing gear has an interesting connection point. So what it does is it connects like that. Now that's not completely realistic. I'm going to have to come up with a different sort of solution. There's not much I have to actually do at the front. It's fairly accurate. It's not perfect. It's a bit chunky. I just need to add a brake line. Not a brake line, I think a hydraulic line or something, and maybe another line at the back here. There's a little knob here. I can't remember the reference photos for that one, but what I'm going to do, I'll do them last. I need to do the main landing gear. Okay, now these are fairly rudimentary, but fairly accurate. The res kit parts that I've got for the wheels, I've got the brake discs and the brake calipers, so I will add some brake lines. So what I'm going to do with this one is essentially the, I can't remember what these are called, the things that fold up and down. See, I don't know anything about wheels, how this goes down. This is too chunky. It's the triangle profile should be more curved, so I'm gonna basically take away some material there and there, and I'll get rid of these seam lines as well. And underneath here, I'll just sculpt that a little bit with a round or a small file, and then I'll drill a hole there, a lightning hole there, and a lightning oblong sort of hole there. And then what looks like is coming out, there's two more pieces I have to put in. There's another bracket here on this oleo in the middle, easy to make, and then another sort of piece that juts out here, one of which is a brake line, and then another one which is I think a repeat line. It's like a U-shaped thing. So I'm just going to make it out of some brass rod, just a U-shaped thing there, and then a brake line that goes up over the top through there, and then another line I think goes back there. That should be fairly straightforward. I'm getting a bit sick and tired of scratch building parts for this kit, but has to be done. So here we go. I've skipped ahead quite a bit. I apologise for that because I've lost the camera footage for when I did all this final work, but I'll just go through these exterior bits one by one. Let's start with the forward sensor. So what you can see I've done here is we've got some lines on, we've got some mounts that will actually plug into, can you see that? They will plug directly into, where's my pointy thing? Into the fuselage once it goes in, those two plugs. And I've done a little bit of priming, a little bit of sanding there, and we've got plugs going into there, and we've got these cables going around, just like that. So that was a fairly easy modification to do, just a bit of cleanup here and there. The winch, on the other hand, I wish I had shown a bit more of this. Come on, camera, what are you doing? Might zoom in a bit there. Okay, so the winch that Academy gives you, this is all modified, so that it doesn't have any of these internal parts. So I made this sort of winch-like wound up sort of thing in the middle there. I cut that all out and made some parts. We've got some cables coming out. We've got some additional cables and struts there. It's not 100% accurate. There are another one or two ones that are supposed to be there. But yeah, it's close enough for what you can see. So I've also, on the fuselage itself, you have to watch the other video, I've made points for where all these things actually plug in that aren't on the kit. So you can see that there's a few hydraulic connectors in there. Not the best. Primed in black and you can't see anything, can you? But there it is there. Okay, so that was a fairly fun exercise to do, and that leads me lastly to the undercarriage, to the wheels, which I almost never ever do. So these are all the res kit parts. I've glued them all together, gave them a basic coat of primer. You can see, and also you can see there's a little bit of paint missing on some of them, and that's because just to get the fit right on the landing gear, I've just worn a bit of paint away, so I now know where to hit it with a bit more primer, and also where to put some chips and scratches. You can see it's quite a nice, really lovely mold. So let's just go over step by step what I've done here with the landing gear. So I think I showed you before, I put a piano hinge on this point here. I've also modified these parts to make them a little bit more accurate. Come on, camera, what are you doing? There we go. Okay, so we've got a few hydraulic lines, a few little extra parts, a few little just some nuts and bolts that go in there. Those red bits are those it's actually fishing fly tube. It's really good to do as connectors. So I've done that. That's the front landing gear, and here's the actual gear itself. So again, I've got some brake lines, some hydraulic connectors in there. I've modified slightly some bits, but I've left most of it because you actually won't see a lot of it once that's deployed, but I'm pretty happy with that. It gives you a basic indication of how it's going. And then the side landing gear, I think I mentioned I had to scratch build a brake transfer line. I think that's what that is there. And we've just got some additional hydraulic lines and cleaning up of the parts. You can see on the come on, why isn't that camera focusing? Hello? Wants to focus on the background, doesn't it? There we go, that's better, I think. Okay, I just had to modify those. There we go. Okay, so you can see I've cut out the oleos, or sorry, the scissor joints, whatever, just to give it a bit more scale, thickness and everything. Anyway, there we have it for that. Now the last thing here's the canopy, and you're thinking, okay, why have I got the canopy? Well, that's the in-flight refueling probe, which, oh no, it fell off. Oh no, it didn't. It's got a magnet. Yeah, I've done that. I took John Bryan's recommendation to put a magnet inside the canopy thing there, and one on the end of the refueling probe, so I can just attach it however I want. I do need to add another 1 or 2 lines here, but I'll do that when I'm finished. So that's just for transport, so when I'm taking it to a model show or what have you, just for damage so it doesn't get snapped off, because it will get snapped off. But yeah, see there's a few little added parts that came with a 3D print. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. So that's the majority of the external parts done that aren't engines or nacelles or other bits. There are a few little tiny more things to do on the fuselage, but I'm ready to crack on, and I hope you enjoyed that video. I'll catch you all later. Cheers.